It says, destroy under the ban, herem, for 2 days, shed blood for 3 days, go kill for 4 days, etc., etc. He's saying this on page 162. He says, this text, discussing Anat's battles, suggests how the deity was seen to conduct herem warfare. First, she slays her enemies in battle, then she takes captives back to her house, her temple, and finally she devours them. This may be the most sustained depiction of the ban rendered from the divine perspective. The idea of herem as divine battle not only underlies Anat's warfare, but also the ban language in the Moabite stela, as well as Israelite battles described as herem in both Moab and Israel. This language was used for warfare against royal enemies. The Mesha stela is explicit in the royal use of herem. In 1 Kings 20:42, following Ahab's defeat of Ben-Hadad, Ahab spares his life. Whoops. An unnamed prophet meets the king of Israel and therefore announces to him, thus said the Lord, because you have set free the man whom I doomed, that is literally the man of my herem, your life shall be forfeit for his life, and your people for his people. Now, J. Luce notes of this verse, the reader is supposed to know that the king of Israel had to consider his defeated antagonist, the king of Damascus, as herem to the Lord. The mythos behind Yahweh's herem warfare is that when the king defeats and slaughters his enemies, Yahweh is understood as fighting for the king and destroying his enemies in battle, and then slaughtering the enemy captives following battle. Because it is not the humans' warfare, it is the deities. That's kind of a background of this principle of herem. And based upon the principle of the storm gods and the mighty fighting Ka bull, defeating your enemies, being the victorious bull, etc. This is another angle on some background to the power of this Min figure. And truly, the ultimate enemy that the god defeats is death. And Osiris, many of the Egyptian deities, in their prayers, they say, they are praying for deliverance. They say, let not my foes slay me. Let not my enemies prevail over me and overcome me. And when Osiris is resurrected, Isis and Nephthys in many texts say, homage to thee, O great God, thou who hast defeated thy enemies. The ultimate enemy, of course, the Osiris, is the Egyptian Christ figure. He was slaughtered, dismembered, and then Isis gathered his body parts again, and he was resurrected into immortality. The ultimate enemy, of course, to overcome is death. And the grand key words of the priesthood is an aspect of this that our figure 7 is depicting. And of course, the Wedjat eye is a significant factor in that. Alan Gardner, in his book Egyptian Grammar, has demonstrated the various parts and measurements. It's the corn measure. I'll get that exact reference here in a little bit. But by reassembling the Wedjat eye, one has the power of immortality. The ultimate death to overcome is, the ultimate enemy to overcome is, of course, death. And everything about Egypt is about life. Absolutely everything about this hypocephalus that we have in our Book of Abraham is concerning life. If it's the one thing the Egyptians wanted, it was to go on living always, and to be active, to be able to move, to be fluid, not be inert and dead. I have some Egyptological materials on that too. This is the reason why the Ba, or the Ka, the soul of a person, is depicted as a hawk, as a bird, as a heron, as a swallow, etc. Movement between the heaven and the earth. Yes, this is the principle that Rosinski discussed in his book, The Book of Wandering Through Eternity, which I have translated from the German, and I'll share some more materials from that as well. Well, let's see here. Why not? I've actually got Rosinski here. He says, Dein Erbe wächst auf Erden bei Keb und dein Nachfolger ist vor dem Lebenden. This is building up to what I want to get to. Dein Name dauert in Munde der Menschen wegen dieses Buch vom Durchwandern der Ewigkeit. That's page 114 in his study, the Book of Wandering Through Eternity. This is in the ZAS, the Zeitschrift für Ägyptische Sprache. Let me see here. Where am I? Way back when. Let's see. Yeah, 1908. Anyway, that was on page 114. This says, your inheritance grows with Keb on earth, and your successor is before the living. See, the emphasis is on living. Your name lasts in the mouth of the people because of this book of the Wandering Through Eternity. And our Book of Breathings idea relates to this. It's effective for a man in the God's domain so that he might live again successfully millions of times. This is according to Michael Dennis Rhodes. Nibley showed that the book is for the owner's benefit in this life as well as into the beyond. It is a textbook for life on earth with useful and important information about the secrets of nature to guide the living as well as the dead. He said that in the message of the Joseph Smith Papyri, page 89 in his first edition. Well, interestingly, Walter Feddern claims the Book of the Dead itself is for instructing the dead man how to be resurrected and to go on living forever. And it is a manual for the living. He says this too, see. They emphasize this. The funerary literature has been adapted to the funeral situation, but it's not necessarily originally meant only for the dead. This is something that has come out in the last, say, 30 years or so. Well, Feddern continues, the living can transform themselves in our lives here as well, while we're alive, into better people, more righteous people, etc. This is in his very nifty article, The Transformations in the Coffin Texts, A New Approach. This is the Journal of Near Eastern Studies, October 1960, pages 245 and following. Now, Anthony Spellinger showed the Festival of Opet at the Luxor Temple was the premier shrine dedicated to the living divine ruler. When the king approaches the god reverentially, performing the rituals of the Opet festival, his ka is renewed or restored, and his right to rule is reconfirmed. This is his article, Sovereignty and Theology in the New Kingdom Egypt, some cases of tradition. This is in the journal Saculum for 1996-1997. That was on page 228. See, the ka is the person's double. And this is what was renewed while he was still living. And his right to rule was reinstated because he could also have this right to rule as he joined the company of the gods, or as we LDS would say, the council of the gods. And one of the inscriptions calls the gods a council, or a group of them. Well, how one came into the company, the council of the gods, is by the staircase. Now, Abd el-Hamid Ahmed Zayed, he explores the inscriptions of Abydos, and here's what he said. I set up a ladder to heaven among the gods, and I am one among them. The vignette accompanying this inscription shows Anubis, the jackal-headed god, with a drawn knife within the staircase. It is on the divine ladder that the dead ascends to the gods above. And this is his article in the journal, the Annales du Survey. It's called The Staircase of the God in Abydos. Gardner said that the Pesjet Demeti is the entire Ennead, the cycle of 9 of the gods, the group. This is the council that he is ascending to through the staircase. Well, this is Jacob's ladder idea in Genesis with the house of God.